Yo, what's going on, guys? Evan Tanaka here, back with another video. In today's video, we got I Rate and Improve Your Guys' Team episode 12. If you guys are new to this series, what I do is you guys send me your team on Twitter at EvanTanaka10. You give me your team and how much MT you have, and I give you a rating out of 10. It could be a 6, it could be a 7, it could be an 8, it could be a 9, or it could be a perfect 10 out of 10. And I give you my improvements of what players I would suggest picking up and removing out of your squad. If you guys want to be in one of these type of videos, send me your team at EvanTanaka10 on Twitter. And let me know how much MT you have and what your team is looking like. Let's get on to the video. If you guys are new here, I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe down below. I post 2 to 3 Myteam videos every single day and give some of the best NoLows content and tips and tricks on the platform. Let's get on to the video. First team we got here is from Random User, and he sent his team on Twitter. How much MT did he say he has? He has 380k MT, and this is what we got to work with. So rating out of 10, there's not a player I dislike on this team. Moses Malone, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I know he's pretty good, especially if you know how to use him. Gary Payne, so we know he's good at the game. He's got a really solid team. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's very comparable to somewhat of a team like mine, and I probably give my team an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. So I'm gonna give this team a solid 8.5 out of 10. And you have how much MC? 280k, 380k. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways you could go. If you want to make your team a lot better, what I would do is get rid of Chris Webber, pick up Dolph Schayes for starting lineup. I think that's a big move. Dolph Schayes is really good, only about 170 to 200k. And then you get to sell Chris Webber as well, make some MT back there. I'm assuming you like Steph Curry, so I'm going to let you keep Steph Curry. Vince Carter, I'm not the biggest fan of. I feel like Grant Hill is a little bit outdated as well. So there's a bunch of different ways you could go with that. I mean, Grant Hill's not bad. You probably should just keep him. I don't know about Batum at the 4 and Moses at the 5. I would probably go someone like an Anthony Davis, or if you can grind and get KG, I would definitely go for KG over Moses Malone. But if you like Moses Malone, you definitely could keep him. But I think Dolph Schayes and AD are really two really big upgrades. You could go someone like Dikembe. Again, I'm a massive fan of Dikembe. Some people aren't the biggest fans of, but I still like Dikembe a lot. Grant Hill, there's not very good good small forwards. It's either like AK, and then other than AK, it's like the KDs, the Paul Georges, so you're not going to be really able to afford that. But I think that's pretty good for your team. Just need to upgrade that power forward and backup center position. I think that team's really good. If you want to keep Chris Webber, you can get rid of Batum and put Chris Webber in there, and then you could put Batum. Actually, that's what I would probably do, actually. I'd move Batum over Grant Hill, get rid of Grant Hill, and keep Chris Webber. That's probably what I would do if I were you. That's what I would do. So thank you, Random User, for sending your team on to the next one. Next team comes in from, I'm going to butcher this, Buxton Bender. Did I just say a bad word? Buxton Bender? Don't think it's a bad word. YouTube, don't ban me if I did. Okay, so he sent his team on Twitter right here, and he has 300k MT for investments. So I just heard the word 300k MT. That's what we're going to work with. Okay, so rating out of 10. Jason Kidd honestly isn't that bad. I think Jason Kidd is very underrated if you need a lockdown point guard, and he hasn't perfectly compared up with Donovan Mitchell. I actually really like how this guy has organized his team. He's got Jason Kidd, lockdown defender, guards ball. He's got Donovan Mitchell, his scorer. And the one thing I will say about your starting lineup, bro, is that you don't really have a second scorer other than Donovan Mitchell. But the thing I like off the bench is you got Curry's your main ball handler, but then you got Matisse as your lockdown defender. You have Glenn Robinson and Sadiq Bey, who are like all around players. But what I'm going to do is actually move Rocco to the... Sorry, rating out of 10. Sorry. I'm going to give this team a solid 8 out of 10. It has some really good players, but just no exceptionally good players. But it is formatted and arranged really well. But what I would do, bro, is I would move Glenn Robinson up to the 3, so you get a little bit more offense to help you out with Donovan Mitchell. And what I would do is have AK come down to the 3, and then... There's a bunch of different ways you could go, because I like having AK off my bench. It depends if you want to play AK at the 4 or the 3. If you want to play AK at the 4, then start him. But if you want to play AK at the 3, I like playing AK at the 3. You put him off the bench. So I would probably, for your lineup, do this. Because, yeah, you got Steph Curry who's going to cook. You got Sadiq Bey that can run a little bit of offense. I'd move Sadiq Bey to the small forward. But I really like this team. Did I even tell you to pick up anybody? I don't think I did. How much MT do you have? 300k? Okay, so if you want to improve your team a lot, I recommend you pick up a good center like a Miles Turner. Just pick up one good center like a Miles Turner or David Robinson. I don't think you need, I don't know, I wasn't typing. I don't think you need to pick up like Oh, I mean, you could pick up both these centers and just stack out your center position, but I don't feel like you necessarily need to. But if you can pick up a David Robinson, that would be really, really clutch. If you could pick up a Dolph Shays and then move AK to the 3, so do something like what I would do is try to pick up both these guys. If you could pick up a Dolph Shays, go like that, and then move Glenn here, I think that's a big, big upgrade. Look at that starting lineup now. And if you want to replace Kidd and get an IT, again, that's what I would do. But then you can't have Donovan Mitchell there, so that'd be a bit of a problem. So probably you could just keep Kidd, to be honest. You probably like Kidd, and I actually like the Kidd. I like the Kidd choice, but you could run something like this. But I'd recommend if you want to go big, you could pick up Dolph Shays and D-Rob, or Miles Turner and Dolph Shays. But if you don't, you can just keep the team you had before I added these players. I think that's still a really, really amazing team with like Porzingis, Josh Smith, AK, Glenn, Robert Covington, Sadiq Bey. I think that's still a great, great lineup. But if you want to go big and upgrade your team, I would recommend doing that. But thank you for sending your team on to the next one. Next team comes in from Nebby. Again, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. And where is he? He sent his team on Twitter. He didn't really give me his MT. How much MT does he have? It looks to be about 13k MT. All right, so that's what we're going to work with. Remember, guys, if you want to send in your team, make sure to specify how much MT you do have, because it just makes it a little bit easier for me. But 13k MT to work with. We got to give a rating out of 10. Again, I like everyone on your team. There's no player I'm like, don't really like. So I'm going to give his team a solid 8 out of 10. I feel like it's similar to the team before. You know, guys like Walt Frazier, Gary Payne's really good. But Tobias Harris, James Harden, the 3 is a little bit, you know, not the best. I would personally start by doing this, is just playing Jaylen Brown to the 2, Chris Mullin to the 3. Batum's a little bit small for a 4, so I'm going to move Tobias Harris to your starting 4. Move Batum here. Move Harden here, and then we're going to pick up a backup 4, and you have about 13k to work with. So I think Robert Covington is a great guy to go with. A very cheap budget power forward. I think one of the best budget power forwards in the game. I think that sorts out your lineup a lot better. I think that spaces your lineup out a lot better. You could also run something like this, but I think this is a perfect, well-balanced lineup. You got defense, you got scoring, bench is really good as well. So yeah, those are my improvements. It should fit in your range. All you had to buy was Robert Covington, and just move a bunch of guys. That's what I'm gonna say. Your guys' team are pretty good. It's just some of you guys just don't know how to arrange your team properly, which is okay. I might make a video on this, but you just got to know how to arrange your team properly. Like, I bought one player, and that team went from what I gave it an 8 to honestly maybe an 8.5 because of how it's arranged. And I can do that very quick because I've just done these with so many teams. So I might make a video on that. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys want to see that type of video. But yeah, so thank you, Nebby, for sending your team on to the next one. Next team comes in from Oopsie Daisy TV, and he sent, that's a funny name, he sent his team on Twitter, of course, and he's got 200k MT to work with. Okay, perfect. Thank you for sending that MT. Okay, so rating out of 10. Not the biggest fan of Bam Adebayo at the 4. Mark Aguire's okay. I'm gonna give this team a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's a very solid team. Now I can make this team an 8 out of 10 very, very easily. What you're going to do, get rid of Paul Millsap. You're going to move Kawhi to the 4, but you're going to move Rocco to the 4, Kawhi to the 3. Again, just another small thing. People need to figure out how to change some stuff around. And then, for starting lineup, if you have 200k MT to work with, I think you need to pick up a better small forward and power forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to first pick up a Kirilenko for about 75k MT. So we got about 125k MT to work with. I think Poole, I don't know if he's the best shooting guard to run with, so it's kind of tough what you want to do there, because for someone like me, I would low-key rather run Matisse Thybulle than run a Jordan Poole just to give myself some defense. I know you're thinking, well, Jordan Poole's so good, he's so good offensively, but you need some defense. So what I would do is I would run Matisse there off the bench, run Donovan Mitchell starting lineup, get rid of Jordan Poole, sell him, get some funds. And then for power forward, there's a few different ways you could go. I'd probably recommend going Batum and then putting AK to the 4, actually. I was thinking about getting Dolph Shays, but I think he's a little bit too expensive for your lineup. So I'd recommend picking up Batum, putting him at the 3. He's a great, great 3. I love Batum at the 3. And then putting AK at the 4. And then, honestly, I think you're good, bro. You have a really well-balanced lineup. You don't have too much offense on one lineup, too much defense on one lineup. I think it's very well-balanced. And I know you're going to be, you might not want to get rid of Jordan Poole, but I think Matisse Thybulle, especially for your lineup, is just a lot better. But thank you, Oopsie Daisy TV, for sending in your team on to the next one. Next team comes in from Ruin the Builder. He sent his team a couple times in these type of videos, and just saying, guys, you can send your team as much times as you want. If you guys want to update it and keep sending it in every week, you can send it in every week if you guys want to. He's got 45k MT. Looking at Hal Greer. Okay, so he's looking at him. He's open for suggestions, 45k MT, and the rating out of 10. This is a really solid team. I can't give it an 8.5, but I can definitely give it a good 8 out of 10. I cannot give it an 8.5. There's just not enough, really good players on this team. But there's a lot of good budget players. That's the thing. It's like he doesn't have like all the top cards, but he has a lot of the good budget cards. Now with 45, how much MT? 45k MT. I would recommend just getting a better backup point guard. If you want that to be a Hal Greer, I think that's a good option as well. You said you were looking at him. That could be a really good option. NBA primetime, you could look at him. I've heard he's really good. You could go I like Tyrese Maxey. You could go someone like Kyle Lowry. I'm a big fan of Kyle Lowry. You could. Drew Holiday is still pretty solid. He might be a little bit outdated, but I think Drew Holiday is still really solid. But I think Hal Greer is probably the option you want to go. And I think other than that, your team's really well balanced and really well constructed. So thank you, Ruin the Builder, for sending in your team. On to the next one. Next team comes in from NoLows, and he sent Lowest. Yeah, I think it's say his name. And he sent his team. Did he give him much MT? He does. 240k MT. Perfect. Let's see what his team's looking like. Okay, so his team looks pretty solid. DeAndre Ayton, I'm not the biggest fan of. This man might be the luckiest man in the world with Paul Silas and Purvis Short, but okay. Obviously, you probably want to Evo Batum. Does he have Batum Evo? Probably, right? Yeah, my mistake. I did not have him Evo'd. But point guards, I do like. Shooting guards, I've never used either of them, but I heard they're decent. Small forwards, I like. Power forwards, I like. Center, I like KG. Not the biggest fan of DeAndre Ayton. How much MT do you have? 240k MT. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I would just make this 1 or 2 upgrades. I would probably go just Miles Turner for about 80, 70, 80k. And then honestly, I think you're good to go. You're going to save a lot of MT, and I think this team is really solid. You just need to get rid of DeAndre Ayton, pick yourself up a really good backup center, and I think you're good to go. I don't think you really need to spend any more MT. There's definitely better cards you can upgrade with, but I think save your MT for now. You're good to go. Pick up a Miles Turner, and yeah, I think you're good to go. So thank you, NoLows, for sending your team on. Wait, did I rate this team? I don't think I rated this team. I do not think I rated this team. So with DeAndre Ayton, not the biggest fan of him, so I'm going to give this team I think I have to give it an 8.5. It's tough because KG, Melo, really tough. Paul Silas were really good. Rocco, Batum, Purvis Short, Maxey. If you didn't have if you pick up Miles Turner, it's easily an 8.5. If you have DeAndre Ayton, I have to give you an 8. I just do not like that card at all. I know he's solid, but I think you need to pick up Miles Turner. So I'm gonna give you an 8 out of 10. But thank you, NoLows, for sending your team on to the next one. Next team comes in from Hayden Chambers. Shambliss. Again, apologize if I'm saying any of your guys' name wrong. He sent his team a couple times before, I think. Did he send in how much MT he has? It doesn't look to be. Okay, so how much MT does he have on the screen now? 588. Okay, we're going to work with 588. Not going to spend all of it because I know nobody wants to spend all their MT. So looking at your team, again, Serge Ibaka, I do not like at all. Like, I think your team is really good. Like, you have a bunch of good players. I think the rating out of 10 for this team is going to have to only be an 8 because of the fact that you have Serge Ibaka. If you have Josh Smith that you had on your team that I'm going to have right beside him, this could low-key be an 8.5 out of 10. But I think Fred's not the best. Drew Holiday's not the best. So with 588k, there's no way you should have Fred VanVleet in your lineup. I'm going to go with the two clones of each other, kind of. I'm going to go with Tyrese Maxey, as DBG likes to say, the Isaiah Thomas clone. Get rid of Drew Holiday and pick up Isaiah Thomas. I think that's amazing pickups. I love running Isaiah Thomas and Klay Thompson together. Isaiah Thomas and Klay Thompson beside each other. Glenn Robinson, Carmelo, Dolph Shays, that's really good. And then bench is also really good as well. If you want to pick up a better small forward, you could go with a Nicholas Batum over Chris Mullin. He's just going to give you a lot more well-rounded player. Can still score the ball, defend the ball way better than Chris Mullin. I think his team is really good. So yeah, thank you, Hayden Chambers, for sending in your team. On to the next one. Next team comes in from Alex, and he sent his team on Twitter. And where is there an MT sitting at 100k, and this is his team. Okay, so we've got 100k to work with, but we got to give him a rating out of 10. Okay, so the first two players that caught my mind were Dennis Rodman and Serge Ibaka. So I can only give you a 7.5 out of 10 because Dennis Rodman and Serge Ibaka just aren't the best. Everyone else is pretty good. Players I would recommend picking up is Tyrese Maxey for about 30k MT. Definitely pick up him, and I would start him over DeJounte Murray. I do like DeJounte Murray, so we're going to keep him in the lineup. And then I would just pick up a backup 4 and a backup 5. And the two I'm going to recommend are the two that I recommend a lot for a lot of people's team. I'm going to go Robert Covington, and I'm going to go, if you can pick up a Miles Turner, I would definitely try to pick up a Miles Turner. Miles Turner is a really good center. I don't know why I put Virgil Hamilton in. Let's try that again. Miles Turner. Why is Richard Hamilton coming up? Okay, so Miles. Can we get a Miles Turner, or is it going to go to Richard Hamilton? Okay, Miles Turner, and I would start him over Josh Smith, and then I think you're good to go, to be honest. If you can't get Miles Turner, then I would try to pick up a Porzingis. He is very, very good to replace instead of Miles Turner. But try to pick up a Miles Turner, definitely pick up a Maxey, and I think your team is really, really good. Thank you, Alex, for sending in your team. On to the next one. Next team here is from LamFlan. That's how you say his name. He sent his team on Twitter, of course, and he's got 30 KMT to work with. Okay, so not that much, but okay. So rating out of 10, I'm gonna have to give us a 7.5 out of 10. Not the biggest fan of Pippen, not the biggest fan of DeAndre Jordan, and not the biggest fan of Serge Ibaka. So the first things I would do is move Serge to the 4, get rid of Serge, get rid of Scottie Pippen, and we're gonna pick up a Saddiq Bey. Right, perfect, right there, Saddiq Bey. We're gonna move Rocco to here, Rocco to starting. We're gonna get rid of DeAndre Jordan. We're gonna pick up a Porzingis, Kristaps Porzingis. We're actually gonna move. No, we're gonna keep Saddiq Bey there for some more offense, and we're gonna pick up a. Who could we go for power forward? There's actually a couple different power forwards you could go with, but what I would recommend to do actually, Drew Holiday, I would get. You can't probably don't have enough to get Maxey. So yeah, I'd probably just keep Drew Holiday. And then for the backup 4, there's a couple of different players you could go. But honestly, I'm still a big fan of this Darius Miles card. I don't know why. I'm still... Actually, no. I'm going to go Miles Bridges. I'm going to go Miles Bridges and then move Braun to the 4. I forgot about Miles Bridges. Yeah, he could play the 3 and then put Braun at the backup 4. I think that's perfect. That should be in your price range. This team's actually really good. This team's an easy 8 out of 10. A very, very good team after you make some of the improvements. Thank you, LamFlan, for sending your team. On to the next one. Next team comes in from Andrew, and he sent his team on Twitter. Let's see how much MT he has. And he's got 50k MT to work with. Okay, so we got this squad, and we got 50k MT to work with. So, rating out of 10. TJ Warren's not good. Vin Baker's terrible. The bench is solid. So, rating out of 10, I'm going to have to give you a 7 out of 10. TJ Warren and Vin Baker they can't just play in it. They just cannot play in a team, basically. Even on your starting lineup, I don't know who the hell scores the basketball. Can somebody explain to me who scores the basketball in that starting lineup? I don't know who creates the ball. I'm not trying to diss your team. I'm just saying I don't know who you score with. So props to you if you can score with anybody in that starting lineup. So first thing I noticed is we're going to get rid of TJ Warren. We're going to move Mullen to the 3. We're going to pick up Donovan Mitchell to give you a ball score, and he perfectly combos with Walt Frazier. Has your Walt Frazier your lockdown, Donovan Mitchell your ball scorer. You got Mullen your sharpshooter. You got Rocco your defender. Get rid of Vin Baker. You're 50 KMT, so you can definitely afford a Porzingis. And then for bench, it's not bad. Your bench was way better than your starters, by the way. Your bench is okay. De'Aaron Fox is okay. Kevin Huerter, we're definitely going to pick up a Matisse Thybulle. Definitely going to pick up a Matisse Thybulle. Braun's fine, and I would pick up a Josh Smith. And then you said you have a budget of 50 KMT, but you want to see if you need to spend a little bit more MT to make your team a lot better. What I would do is get rid of De'Aaron Fox and pick up a Tyrese Maxey. I think that's going to make your team a lot better. Tyrese Maxey is a great budget point guard, and he's going to help run this bench unit really good. I think this team was like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. This team's a solid 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8 out of 10. But thank you, Andrew, for sending your team. Definitely make the changes I said. This team looks so much better to me. But thank you for sending your team. On to the next one. Next team here is from OK Boomer, and I'm pretty sure he did not, because again, he sent this to me a while ago, so he did not tell me how much MT he has. So I have zero idea of how much MT he has, so I'm just going to rate this team out of 10. So, rating out of 10, obviously that starting lineup is really good. Trae Young kind of brings it down a little bit. I'm going to give this team an 8.5 out of 10. Your bench is pretty weak, though. But I think just for having Clay, Dolph Schayes, David Robinson, Vince Carter, Jaylen Brown, Mark Aguirre's not bad. I don't know if I can give this team an 8.5, actually, because that bench is just... the bench is not cutting it for me. If you gave me some sort of MT to work with, I would improve your bench, but I can only give you an 8 out of 10. Your starters is like a 9 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. So your bench just isn't cutting it, because your bench is low-key like a 7.5 out of 10. But yeah, so I'm going to give you an overall team an 8 out of 10. Thank you, OK Boomer, for sending in your team. On to the next one. The last and final team is from Francisco Frias. Again, I apologize if I say your name wrong. I read all this, by the way. I'm just saying I don't want people to... I'm not going to read it on the video, but I do know what you said in the video. So you got 350k to work with. I'm trying to stay over 300k. Okay, so we'll go 300k MT. We'll go 300k MT to work with. So, rating out of 10. Not the biggest fan of DeAndre Jordan, not the biggest fan of DeAndre Ayton, but everybody else is really, really solid. So I'm just going to recommend pick up some centers, bro. And you've got 300k MT to work with. So what I would do is I would pick up a Miles Turner, and then for your backup center, I would pick up a Porzingis or sell Aiden and then pick up a Porzingis. That's all I think you really need to do for your team. I'd recommend to save all of the MT you had from before. I think your team is very, very good, but definitely just pick up a Miles Turner, Porzingis, upgrade that center position, and I think you're good to go. But thank you for sending your team, and that is it for the video, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.